myth is generally we say that something which is not true as such, okay? Which is not true, are called as myth. Okay? Or we assume that it is true, but actually in actuality it's not true. Okay? That's a myth. Okay? So for software also we have some kind of a myths. So first myth is management myth, or category of myth is management myth. Okay? So what it says? We already have a book that's full of standards and procedures. Okay? So we know that we mentioned that when you have an organization has a book of standards. Okay? Like we said, there's a IEEE standard for SRS. There are standards for writing design documents. There are standards for writing references. So we have all these books that which standards are mentioned, procedures are mentioned. So for building software also, we can just use them. One that provide my people with everything that they need to know. So these standards are there. Just provide the standards to the users or your employees or your team members who are working on a software. Let them read through that and just okay. Now you are free to work on this. Okay. But is it sufficient to have just this kind of say uh, sufficient to have this kind of what do you say books are there, or you are having this kind of software standards available? Can we just use them? May not be, because many times we know that these books or these standards may be old enough, which are still present and which may not be useful in today's age. It may be the case that something might have changed in these cases. There may be some procedures which need a little bit of changes. Apart from that, we also mentioned that softwares as such are custom built. So in that case, these procedures also need to be custom built in that case. We cannot use the standard procedures as it is for the new softwares. So in that cases, we may not be, even though we are having this kind of a books of standards and procedures available, we may not be able to use them as it is. Okay. Then next is like if we get behind schedule, we can add more programmers and catch up. It is sometimes called as Mongolian horde concept. Okay. So you must have heard this term called as Mongols. So when they used to attack, they used to have batches of people. Okay. So if they find that first batch is getting wiped out, or it's on the verge of getting killed, they used to send another batch of fresh batch of soldiers for fighting. So that was their concept for of winning the wars as such. But that kind of a thing is not useful in softwares, because when you add new people in software or in the team, what may happen is that person is to understand first what existing program is, what are the concepts, what are the functions, what are the requirements, what are the needs, what is intention behind building this software. So he needs to go through all these things before starting to write a program. So in that case, this kind of a thing is not usable in that case. Okay, we cannot add more users. In that case, it may happen that you are creating more chaos than being on a schedule as such. Okay, so you cannot. We say we don't add more people or more programmers in the existing team in that case. Then third myth is, so it's a myth. If you are behind the schedule, adding more people or adding more programmers is not going to help you. If I decide to outsource the software project to a third party, I can just relax and let that firm build it. It's again a myth. Why? Even if you're outsourcing something, that person or that company or that team should understand what are your requirements, in what environment I'm going to run it, what is the intention behind this software as such, why this software is being built, what environment in which the software will fit into. Is this software a standalone software or is a part of another software? So is it just a component as such? So all these things are there. Okay? So you cannot just sit and say, just watch, okay, you build a software and give it to me, I just use it. That may not happen. So there are other things also. You can't just relax. Even if you just outsource it, we cannot relax and say, okay, my software will be built by somebody else and I'll just use it. No, that way it may not be uh, built appropriately. You need to give your inputs, you need to test, you need to validate. So that's your job. That has to be done by you only. Okay. Then you have some customer myths. That is a general statement. So this is a myth that a customer may feel. A general statement of objectives is sufficient to begin writing programs. We can fill in the details later. That customer may say, okay, I just want to build a software, say calculator I want to build. So he says, okay, general statement is write a program to build or write a software to build a calculator. So that's a very generic statement as such. Okay, and he will say, okay, as and when I find some kind of some details are required, you come back to me. I'll give you more requirements, or I'll give detailed requirements in that case. But that may not be the case. One needs to understand the complete functionality of a software, because the developer team needs to understand what exactly he wants. Saying like we have given this example earlier also, calculator may be different from different perspectives. Your perception of calculator is different than my perception of calculator. Okay? If I am a grocer, for me it's just a simple calculator having simple functionalities, maybe 5-6 functionalities sufficient. Okay? Basic mathematics is sufficient. If you are a first year engineering student, you have a different set of requirements. If you are a scientist, if you are a programmer, you require a programming calculator. So a general statement is not sufficient to begin writing any kind of programs. You need to provide details. That's why when you say we are writing a program, we do provide the functionalities. What are functions are there? What we say is functional requirements as well as non-functional requirements. Both are provided, but here we are more concerned with functional requirements. Then next is software requirements continually change, but change can be easily accommodated because software is flexible. That customer may feel, okay, what is software? It's not a hardware, okay, where you have to break and build, or the early existing component has to be thrown out. It's not like that. It's just flexible, just a code. If I require some kind of a change, you just write a code for it and provide it to me. That may not be the case, because for customer end, he may think like that. However, actually we know that for any change, we need to identify whether this change can be accommodated. If this is accommodated, what all things to be changed, where requirements change, where design changes, where code will change, what kind of a testing has to be changed. If there are some integrations are there, where do we need to change the integration components also. So all these things are there. So just change in at one place doesn't mean that that changes at only one place. It has its repercussions, consequences on subsequent and previous codes also, or stages too. So it's a myth that it's true software is flexible doesn't mean. Okay, so what is true is software is flexible. However, taking this software flexibility to say that change is continuous and you can easily accommodate a change is a myth. Okay. And next is practitioner's myth. That means those who are writing the programs, those who are programmers or developers, maybe designers also, we can include designers also. Everybody in the software engineering team in that case. Okay. So once we write up the program and get it to work, our job is done. It's not the case. Okay. That you also very well can correlate that with yourself. Like in the laboratory, you are given a problem statement. You implement the program, and you say no, program is running. You show it to your lab teacher. So what happens is you have written a program. It's working. It's working. We are not. No, I'm not saying it's not working. It's working. However, when it goes to you go to your teacher and say, you check my program. It's running. Now the teacher will say, okay, now you show me. You give this kind of input. So he has his own set of inputs which we provide to you. If it works for that also, then you say now the program is running. Otherwise, your job is not done. You need to add those things also. Like simple example is there. You wrote a program as it was asked. However, you did not do exception handling, because the exception handling is not mentioned in the program as such. So you write a program, it's working completely fine for all the inputs you are giving, because you know what your program is. But when teacher comes, now he says, now give this kind of input. Now there is an error. Error is because exception is not being handled. Say divide by 0 error is there. So he asks you, okay, your program is of division, give 1 by 0. Your program will not function because you never thought that 1 by 0 will be given as an input as such. So if once 1 by 0 is given, it is expected that the program should say it's a divide by 0 error. But if that is not happening, then your teacher says now you add this as an exception. So programmer has to keep on adding certain things till the expected requirements are not complete. So all functional as well as non-functional requirements needs to be finished by the programmer. Next is until I get the program running, I have no way of assessing its quality. It's again a myth. It's not always necessary to have a program running, or that's maybe the last phase. Before you run the entire program, you can go through certain things like when requirements are given. So you develop something called as SRS, which is developer's document. Now there it is provided what kind of data structure is to be used, what kind of variables are to be used, what kind of a language is to be used, then whether you are properly committed or not, whether you use some concepts in it or not. So all these things are also present, or can be tested even before your program is running, so that you can call as a white box testing. So you can test for the quality even when you are writing the program. So it's a myth that you need to run the program first to check its quality. That time you can check the output and other things, but even before the program is complete, you can check for other parameters of quality. The program is done as per the standards of writing code. Okay? So there are standards for writing the code, there are standards for commenting. So all these things are also part of quality. Then the only deliverable work product for a successful project is the working program. It's a myth, because working program is one deliverable product, which you can say at the end. Along with it, for a product we are saying there are multiple things. Like we say in the requirement phase, we will have a software requirement document. That's also a deliverable. SR is a deliverable. Design document is also deliverable. Design itself is a deliverable. Test cases, or what kind of a testing is to be performed, so for which you can write a document, that is also a deliverable. And then you provide a user manual, a system manual, that is also a deliverable. Okay, so along with working program, you have different number of deliverables which are also part of your project. So the only program is not a deliverable, there are other deliverables too. The last myth in the practitioner's myth is software engineering will make us create voluminous and unnecessary documentation and will invariably slow us down. It's not true. Software engineering is made, it will create some documents, agreed, which may be lengthier also. However, software engineering is being developed or is being used so that we can, as we have mentioned, we can create the program, which we can create a working project, working program within stipulated time, within certain cost, as per the requirements to satisfy the customers. That's where software engineering will look for. Though documentation will be created, that won't be unnecessary. Document will lie there, it will be used by subsequent teams or other team members. If a team member leaves in between, that entire work is available because documentation is available, which can be easily referred by the new person, and because he already has some kind of a foundation knowledge about this subject or about the project, he can easily pick up those terms, he can easily pick up those programs, and he can start working on the program as well. Okay, so in that sense, software engineering is going to help you. All the framework activities and the umbrella activities, they are going to create a lot of documents, but all these things are going to help us. So these are certain myths about the software. So management myth, customer myth, practitioner myths. There are 3 myths related to software. Any questions to this part? Any questions or comments up to this? Please, before we go for process models, we can take some questions.